Welcome back, 1570 AM, WNST. My next guest is Nestor J. Aparicio. Nestor, welcome in.
Live from Radio Row. You can tell because I have my mask. Do I sound different with my mask, Dan?
You sound as mellifluous with the mask as without the mask.
Whoa, was that an EVT word? Did you get that
Honey
in the
flowing.
SAT class?
You know what? That's honey flowing. It's Greek, meli, which is honey, and fluous, which is flowing. So it's honey flowing, you silver-tongued devil, you, all the way from California. Glad to have you
Man, the
on.
things we learn on this show,
That's
I mean,
right.
I'm glad.
Very educational.
Well, listen, this has been quite a week. I mean, it's still early on here as we tape this. The game's going to get its own hype, right? Like, I mean, the Rams really are the home team, right? So there's no denying that. Like, it's a different feeling than Baltimore may have had 4 or 5 years in when we went to our Super Bowl and won our Super Bowl. They've already been in a Super Bowl here, right, and lost. I'm down here at this NFL experience, and if you can see out on the video, if you're watching this out on YouTube, there's a giant NFL experience as part of downtown LA. It's amazing to see how many Rams jerseys there are. It's also amazing to see that it's like the Chargers don't play here.
Wow.
And you knew that was coming, right? But for this team to have this success at this point in LA, I mean, I remember when they dragged the Rams out here from St. Louis and broke Missouri, by the back, and then the Chargers came up here and the Raiders go. This is a real dream for the NFL to have this game at SoFi with the Rams, with this team and Odell Beckham and Jalen Ramsey and Von Miller and Aaron Donald. I mean, this team might have 4 or 5 Hall of Famers on it before it's all over, right? And then the other part of that with Joe Burrow coming in, I've started to see the Bengals fans. I've started to see the Zubaz and the orange and the black and all of that. So, and I see the excitement around Cincinnati and them being in it. And I think all of us can relate to that, right? Like we can relate to that feeling back in 2000. We can relate to that feeling maybe 13 years later that our children were 13 years older. We're 13 years older. There's more of an appreciation for the Ravens as a foundational part of the community. And the Rams, they left here once, and there is no community here, and it's LA, and they weren't lusting for football in any way. But now that they have it, the thing I hear here, Dennis, is that the Rams are trying to be what the Lakers and the Dodgers have been. And this is
Okay.
their opportunity to lay that groundwork. Now, I would tell you as a betting man, as I wear my Maryland lottery mask here and encourage folks to gamble responsibly, I would bet on the Chargers going to London or somewhere, Bemidji, anywhere. There's no way that's going to work here, in my opinion.
Well, I'm a little bit confused with the Rams. Is it the St. Louis Rams, Nestor, the Los Angeles Rams? I mean, I think of
Anaheim. Don't forget Anaheim.
Anaheim. Yep. I think of Merlin Olsen and Vince Ferragamo and Charles White and Kurt Warner and Marshall Faulk. And I guess you have to follow the Rams organization, not necessarily the city, in order to avoid that confusion, right? Because myself as a fan, I still have a hard time calling them the LA Rams. We were so used to calling them the St. Louis Rams for forever. But again, before that, they were very much the LA Rams with John McVay as a coach and the pageantry that was out there at the Coliseum.
Well, so I went to a number of games in St. Louis. I mean, the Ravens played out there a couple of times, right? So I also went to the NFC Championship game out there. I'm sitting about 25 feet from Torrey Holt. So I mean, he's right up here on the Sirius XM set next to Rich Gannon and Solomon Wilcots and these guys. And I was there when they beat Tampa, beat the Dungy team, and they went to the Kurt Warner year. We played the first game there that year. If you remember, it was Chris McAllister picked the ball,
Sure.
and the DeMarco Farr Water Buffalo comment about Scott Mitchell, and it was Billick's first game out there. And when you went into that dome, the then TWA Dome, how about that, right? I mean, there's an airline that's been gone 20 years, right? The TWA Dome in St. Louis. You'd walk in and you'd look up on the rafters, and there would be like Merlin Olsen's name and Deacon Jones's name. It was like the Los Angeles Rams Hall of Fame was like it would be like walking into the Hoosier Dome in 1985 and seeing Johnny Unitas and Art Donovan and Raymond Barry's name up as like Indianapolis. I just thought it was the strangest thing in the world to walk in there and have the Rams organization have that in giant letters in the middle of St. Louis. Now that they're back here, I guess maybe you and I should look at this differently as we're, entering the back nine, as they say. I mean, these teams are all transient, right? I mean, like that's just a fact, and you can't deny it. Maybe in your wonderland you can say that, but we are the Browns to some people in Cleveland, and the Chargers will always belong in San Diego, and the Raiders. People in LA, there are people our age that think the Raiders are their team in LA. Tens of thousands of people that love the Raiders because of Los Angeles, and they spent 25 years without a team here, and they were flying up to Oakland for games, and now they fly to Las Vegas. It was like me being a Houston Oiler fan, just being a displaced fan, and I think the league's full of that. This morning I got on a media shuttle with a bunch of dudes from the UK. They don't have a home team, maybe the Jaguars one day or the Chargers or whatever, but they love the league, right? So, and I think the NBA's become like that as well, where you don't have to be from LA to love the Lakers, right? I mean, anybody can adopt out, but where these teams play and who they represent, I don't know. They represent franchise colors more than they really represent communities, and the Rams are a great example of that.
Yeah, there's no question about that, Nestor. You said Torrey Holtz is just a few feet away from you, and Torrey Holtz was a St. Louis Ram. He was part of the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner and Isaac Bruce and all
Yeah,
the
what
other
would his
great
name
Marshall
mean in
Falk.
Los Angeles,
Yeah,
right?
he doesn't have any allegiance or roots in Los Angeles that I'm aware of, but so I think it does have to be tough for the players because they played in these cities, right? They went out about town. They had a Super Bowl parade in St. Louis, not in Los Angeles, right, to celebrate that victory. So it has to be strange for a lot of different people, not just us.
And they had some damn good frozen custard too at Ted Drew's in St. Louis. But so I'm out here in LA all week, and I got a name drop for you because we brought up the greatest show on turf. We talked about the
Sure.
Rams, right? So every year I do the thing with the Wounded Warriors, right? Maybe you've heard BJ Ganem on my show. He's a Wounded Warrior. He put together a football team and Delta Sierra, and I've had him on every year. I got to meet him in New York, right? So this is right before Jane got cancer, a couple of weeks. So it's 2014. So I guess I've known BJ about 8 years. We were literally sitting in a bar in New York City, looking up, drinking, and watching David Letterman at 11:30. And the Letterman show taped about a block away from our hotel. It was like all in the same block. And we were in the bar with the dude who was on the TV. So like they taped the show at 7 o'clock or whatever. We were sitting in this Irish bar with the guest who was on Letterman sitting next to us, who was BJ Ganem. So BJ and I become friends, Facebook friends, and does the show every year. And he's collected this huge group of people, NFL alums, Kenny Mayne, celebrities, and Snoop Dogg. So Snoop's put his name on the event. They're having it at the Jackie Robinson Stadium. So they're having it on Tuesday night. So if you're hearing this on Thursday on Dennis's show or even on Sunday before the game, I hope you go out check out the social media because I'm going to have some videos and pictures. I haven't done a lot of crowing about it before it because I wasn't sure it was going to happen, but it's happening in a couple of hours. So I'm looking forward to. Kurt Warner is the quarterback of one team, and Jake Plummer is quarterbacking the other team, and Kenny Mayne apparently is doing relief pitching as a quarterback because, as he would say, he's an ex-athlete. And Kenny doesn't know it, but I'm going to recruit him to do color for me. But I'm doing play-by-play for the game.
Oh, very nice.
And so they've asked me to do that, and all the TV stations are going to be there, and they've said they're going to pick up my play-by-play. So it's just we're goofing off. It's a fun thing with the Wounded Warriors and players. They've asked me to play because you have to be an amputee to play, and because I'm missing a finger, they've always wanted me to play. And I said I'm an ex-athlete, my back and whatnot, but they've asked me to do this, and they asked me if I had any experience, and then this is what I told them. 1985, my senior year at Dundalk High, they asked me to do play-by-play, which was really heckling. They gave me a bullhorn at the Powder Puff football game at Dundalk High. Class of '84 beat the juniors beat the seniors. And it was a girls' a flag football game. And I had a bullhorn out on the sidelines, torturing the coaches, the principal. Don Moeller would remember this because he was there. There's no doubt about that. So they've asked. So I'm trying to think of it in those terms. That it is it's my Louis Anderson moment to try comedy for the first time at Snoop's football game. So that's what I'm doing in LA here this weekend. My dearest friend Julio Bermejo has decided to come down from San Francisco and make a weekend of it. So this has turned into a serendipity tour out here. I hope to have more guests. I hope a lot of folks are coming. I could do a lot of name dropping of the folks we're going to have, but I am going to catch a pass from Kurt Warner before the day's over. That's true.
Oh,
And I'm going to ask him about being a St. Louis Ram versus being a Los Angeles Ram on your
well,
behalf.
how great is that, Nestor? And with Snoop being there, hopefully Martha Stewart is around to keep Snoop Dogg in line. And because between those two, only one of them has been in jail, and it hasn't been Snoop. So she's the one that actually has a lot more street cred in my eyes, anyway.
So I've done, this is 28 Super Bowls. My wife's done maybe like 12 or 13, 14, somewhere in there. She's missed a handful, and she's not coming this year. 2 years ago, the last Super Bowl we did, Luke and I, Miami, that was a big week with, Kobe Bryant died on that Sunday. It was a really weird week. But Martha Stewart was at the table like 2 away from us doing radio, like there for a couple of hours every day, and was incredibly magnanimous. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel bad we didn't get her on, that I didn't make, a real push to get her on. I lost out on the Backstreet Boys in Tampa a few years ago. I was a little upset about that. But Snoop's come by our table. Adam Sandler's come by. Chris Rock has come. I mean, we've had a lot of really cool guests. I missed out on Burt Reynolds in Jacksonville back in 05. I mean, he was doing tables. I didn't get him. But, I mean, I've had every John Elway and Joe Montana, and I've had Joe Namath stop by the table, and Don Shula many times when he was alive. I've had Merlin Olsen. You can go see these on YouTube. Merlin Olsen, Jack Youngblood, Deacon Joe. Deacon Jones gave me a head slap on video. Do you know this?
I think you've mentioned that before. You
Yeah,
haven't been
man,
the same
my head
since.
still hurts. My head still hurts from that. So, we're going to have a good week out here. So guests this week, Lee Steinberg, Solomon Wilcots, Matt Doherty. Matt, basketball guest. How about that? Jake Plummer's coming on the show. Mike Golick is coming on. Andrew Zimmern's going to come on and talk crab cakes with me. Hall of Famer Mike Haynes is going to come on and ask you your PSA number, because he does that every time. How about this? I've never had Pac-Man Jones on the show.
Okay,
Pac-Man
should
Jones
be fun. Should be
yeah,
fun.
Pac-Man stopping by. And that's what I got so far. I don't know. I mean, it's not as crowded as it usually is, right? So
give Sully my best. He's one of my favorite announcers, and I feel happy for him. Right, a former Bengal, and finally his the team that he retired from is in the Super Bowl.
He is sitting with Torrey Holt right now on the Sirius set. And I love Solly. I mean, Solly's one of the really
he's a really good man. I enjoy stuff.
Really good person in the business, and he is Cincinnati, right? So I hadn't thought about that. I mean, Collinsworth, I saw he's doing his tour.
I like
right?
Sully a lot better than Collinsworth. I'm not a big fan of Chris. Chris doesn't like the Ravens, and he makes no bones about it. He's like Howard when he talks about the Ravens through gritted teeth.
You know what? I have a little prediction here. All right. So it's still early in the week. And if you're listening to Dennis on Thursday, you can go out to BaltimorePositive.com and find out. But where's Pete Rose? Like, when I think of Cincinnati, like, Pete Rose is anywhere Cincinnati is, right? Pete Rose is coming here, right? Like, Pete's going to show up on Radio Row Thursday, right? Seriously.
You bet he is. You bet he is.
Yeah, I'm just throwing names at, because I was going to say to you, did you prefer Pete Rose or Johnny Bench? Did you prefer Joe Morgan or Dave Concepcion? I don't know.
Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame. I've said it 1,000 times. I'll say it 1,000 times more. He should be in.
Should Barry Bonds be in?
He should. Absolutely.
Should Roger Clemens be in?
Absolutely should.
Should Kurt Schilling be in?
Because that was a league problem. That was not a player problem. The league condoned what those guys did. And they hung them out to dry.
Welcomed it. Yeah,
they did.
Totally.
They like the long ball. They like the full stadiums.
Yes.
That's exactly right. So don't blame the players. You can put an asterisk in a name next to their name, but put them in a Hall of Fame. They belong.
Dennis, I was here 2 days before I saw a Dodgers hat. I can see from my hotel room. I have a beautiful hotel room in downtown LA. I can see the Hollywood sign, and I can see the lights of Dodgers. The lights aren't on, but I can see the stanchions where it sits in the bowl at Chavez Ravine. Have you ever seen a game at Dodger Stadium?
Never seen one. No.
Go see a game at Dodger Stadium. It's the best place to watch a baseball game in the world. It really is.
I have to pretty soon. Like I said, I'll be out on the left coast in a couple of weeks in the desert out there in the Mojave Desert. But they're not playing baseball right now, so even if I wanted to watch a game, I couldn't do it. They've got to get that right.
You got to wait for like Fleetwood Mac to show up and play Dodger Stadium or something like that. You too. I don't know. Dan, I hope we have a good week here. I hope it's a great football game. I'm thinking it's going to be a good game. Okay, I don't think the snap's going to go over anybody's head and it's going to be 49-10. I think this is a good football game. I think it's about the Bengals offensive line and how that's going to hold up against what is a world-class defense right now. You got to call it what it is. You got Hall of Fame talent on that defense and a real want, and a lot of guys who lost the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and a lot of guys like the Odell Beckhams and the Jalen Ramseys toiling away in Jacksonville and losing a lot of games. Matt Stafford, nobody lost more games than Matt Stafford,
Yeah.
right? So knowing all of that, there's a real want there. And then the Bengals side, where I don't want to say they're just happy to be here, right? But I think it didn't look big for them against the Chiefs. None of this has looked too big for Joe Burrow, and for that, I hold out hope that it won't be too big. And I think the Rams are the more talented team, right? I mean, that's why they're the 4-point favorite. They're the friggin' home team in the Super Bowl at their stadium, right? That was overtaken by 49ers fans a couple times in the last month. I would think the Bengals fans are going to come in, but the ticket prices are so expensive that it's not built for Cincinnati fans, at least not yet. And again, this is such a big place, LA, right? And there's so much going on and so much to do that the game can get a little swallowed up here. But I think the game's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be like the most fun Super Bowl of all the ones I've been to. I think it's a little sort of low key, quite frankly, with masks on and like all of that. And I don't think they're going to be greasing poles here. I don't think anybody's going to be climbing poles in Hollywood because the Rams won. It's a different kind of vibe than it's going to be in Cincinnati, where people are going to cry. You know what I mean? It's a different love and a different amount of losing Bengals fans have done. So I will feel great for the Bengals fans if they win. I'll feel great for Matt Stafford and Havenstein and Jake Funk and those guys that I've seen along life's highway that are Maryland guys that play for the Rams. Eric Weddle. Oh my God, is there a better story than Eric Weddle, right?
No, it's all great stuff, Nestor. I like the Bengals in the game. I think they have some momentum, and I don't think it's too big for them. They're supposed to be there. They're playing with house money, and I do think that all the pressures for all the reasons you mentioned are on the Rams. The Rams have a lot of pressure. The Bengals are playing with house money, and I expect them to cash it in.
Yeah, the Rams get down 10 points early. It could not be good for them. You know what I mean? I would just say if the Bengals get the momentum that they get, especially on offense, and Burrow starts doing the things that, quite frankly, we've seen Mahomes do, right? Quite frankly, things we've seen Lamar do, which take over a game. Take over a game. Burrow has the ability to do that. And they got the ability to run the ball too. Great game. I mean, hey, you know what? We say this a lot of years. These are the two best teams. The Bengals were playing the best football at the end. That's why they beat the Chiefs. It was not the Bills. It was not the Titans who were the 1 seed, right? This is the team that's the best team right now, and they've proven it. So give them a chance to go win a championship. I mean, it should be a good football game on Sunday night.
Yep, I think it's going to go down to the last play, as we've seen in the last 5 or 6 games, right in the playoffs, and that's all we can hope for as fans—a competitive game that comes down to the last play.
Dennis, I'll tell you this. It's early in the week here as we tape this, and I have things happen. The Snoop game is happening. There's a media party on Friday night, whatever. I'm going to be in the Eating Hall of Fame when this week is over with. I've gone to Koreatown already. I've gone to Little Tokyo, and I'm talking about like really, really legitimate Korean barbecue, legitimate sushi, legitimate ramen and tempura, gyoza. Wow. And I'm just eating a lot out here. I've had a lot of Korean shaved ice thus far, so I'm going to go in the Eating Hall of Fame. It's a Super Bowl of eating by the time I get out of here. I'm going to gain 10 pounds out here.
That's okay. You have 10 pounds to gain, and you'll lose 11 when you get back home. So keep
I'm
eating.
hydrating to get ready for the Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery. That's what I'm doing.
Keep doing great things. Keep masking up. Keep representing Maryland with a great Maryland face mask, and keep doing great things out there on the left coast.
Dennis, always a pleasure to be a part of your show. Sorry we couldn't double up this week, but we're going to double up next week as well as I get back. And we got a lot of things that, like, you and I have not had a conversation about Dick Cass, about Steve Bisciotti, about Sashi Brown, about the press conferences that happened the week before the Radio Row week happened. So there's a lot of movement going on in Owings Mills that I think we're going to be looking at in the coming months, right? I mean, the focus of the game, great. We're going to do all that, but boy, the Ravens are about to really have a change of an era.
A lot there to unpack for sure, Nestor. We have plenty of content, and that's even before we turn our attention to the NFL draft, which is One of my very favorite things in my life.
Steelers are going to draft
out.
3 quarterbacks in the first round, from what I understand in their fan base, right?
All right, Nestor, appreciate your time. There he goes, Nestor J. Aparicio from the left coast, bringing us the best here in Baltimore. Positive 1570 AM WNST. We'll take a quick break. Come back right after this.